The Warforged creature had not spoken in 6 cycles. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood outside the holding cell, her breath forming small clouds in the cold, recycled air of the medical wing. Through the reinforced viewport, she watched the massive form hunched in the corner, its chitinous armor reflecting the dim emergency lighting in fractured patterns. The Krell Warrior Designation Apex 7 was bred in laboratories, engineered for violence, perfected for slaughter, 14 confirmed ship destructions, 372 documented kills, 0 instances of mercy. "He won't eat," Lieutenant Morris said behind her, his voice tight. "Won't respond to commands. Bioscans show extreme stress markers. How long has he been like this? Since the retrieval. Found him in the wreckage of the Terran destroyer Valiant, surrounded by bodies, both sides. Just sitting there." The Krell's shoulders rose and fell with mechanical precision, but something about the rhythm struck Elena as wrong, too controlled. Like breathing was now a deliberate act instead of an instinct. "The Dominion wants him back," Morris continued. "Queen herself sent the demand. Says he's property of the Krell Empire." "He's a person," Elena said quietly. "He's a weapon that stopped working. That's not the same thing." Morris shifted his weight, armor plates clicking. "Captain's orders are clear. Stabilize him for transfer or handle the situation permanently. Command thinks keeping him is too much risk." Elena finally turned, meeting the lieutenant's eyes. "Get me inside. Doctor." "That's not a request." Morris's jaw worked silently for 3 seconds before he nodded, moving to the access panel. The security protocols took 47 seconds to disengage, each beep counting down to something Elena couldn't name. The door slid open with a pneumatic hiss that sounded too much like a final breath. The smell hit her first. Not decay or filth, but something sharper. Fear sweat laced with alien pheromones, the biological signature of something pushed beyond its engineering tolerances. She stepped inside, hearing the door seal behind her with a finality that made her pulse quicken. Apex 7 didn't move. "My name is Elena," she said, keeping her voice level. "I'm a doctor. I'm here to help." Nothing. She took another step forward, hands visible and empty. The Krell's armor was scarred, scorched in places where plasma fire had nearly penetrated. One shoulder pauldron hung at an odd angle, barely attached. Beneath it she could see the softer tissue, vulnerable points the war breeders tried to minimize but could never fully eliminate. "I'm not armed," she continued, each word measured. "I'm not here to hurt you." The Krell's head lifted fractionally. Elena froze, her medical training screaming at her to assess, to categorize, to understand. The creature's eyes, 3 of them arranged in a triangular pattern, were clouded. Not from injury, from something worse. "They're going to send you back," she said. "Unless I can help you. Can you understand me?" One eye focused on her. Then another. The third remained distant, staring at something only the Krell could see. "The battle," Elena said softly. "The Valiant." "Can you tell me what happened?" The creature's breathing changed. Faster. Shallower. One massive hand opened and closed, claws scraping against the reinforced floor with sounds like knife blades on stone. "It's okay," Elena whispered. "You're safe here." The Krell's mouth opened. For a moment, Elena thought he might speak. Instead, a sound emerged, low and broken, something between a growl and a sob that no war-bred creatures should be able to make. She moved closer, every instinct warning her against approaching an apex predator, but something deeper overriding caution. She'd seen soldiers after combat, had treated humans who'd crossed lines they couldn't uncross. This was the same, just wrapped in alien flesh and battle-forged bone. "You don't have to be what they made you," she said. Apex 7's entire body went rigid, his eyes locked onto hers, all 3 now focused with terrible intensity. When he finally spoke, his voice was a rasp dragged across gravel. "Child." Elena's breath caught. "What?" "There was, child." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Elena knelt slowly, bringing herself closer to the Krell's eye level, professional distance collapsing into something more immediate. "On the Valiant?" she asked gently. The Krell's head moved once. Down. Embarrassed acknowledgement. "Tell me," Elena said. Apex 7's breathing became irregular. His claws flexed, and for a heartbeat, Elena wondered if she'd made a fatal mistake. Then the words came, each one seeming to cost him something irreplaceable. "Evacuation shuttle. Damaged. child calling for mother. Human. Small. Terrified, his eyes closed. I was ordered to eliminate all survivors, no witnesses. No mercy. Protocol absolute. Elena's hands clenched into fists. What did you do? I hesitated. 2 words. They hung in the air like an execution sentence. I was bred without hesitation, Apex 7 continued, his voice fracturing. Engineered without doubt, perfected for singular purpose, but the child looked at me. Not with fear, with hope. Called me hero. Elena felt her throat tighten. You saved them. I killed my entire squad. Brothers, warkin. Slaughtered them to protect one human child I was designed to destroy without thought. Then I carried the child to safety. His eyes opened again, and they were ancient despite his youth. Afterwards, I could not become what I was. The programming remains. The purpose remains. But I broke. The silence that followed was absolute. Elena reached out slowly, her hand trembling, and placed it against the Krell's scarred armor. Beneath the war-forged exterior, she felt him shaking. You're not broken, she said. You're awake. Behind the viewport, Lieutenant Morris watched with growing unease. Behind him, unseen, the first ships of the Dominion fleet emerged from slipspace. Queen Zerithus had come personally for her property, and she would not ask twice. The proximity alarms started their warning song as Elena helped Apex 7 to his feet. He moved like gravity had tripled, each step deliberate and careful, a predator learning to walk without stalking. She kept her hand against his arm, feeling tremors run through engineered muscle that could tear through bulkheads. We need to move, Lieutenant Morris's voice crackled through the intercom. Dominion ships just dropped in system. Multiple capital vessels.
They're transmitting surrender demands.
Elena looked up at Apex 7. Can you fight? Yes. The answer came immediately. Programmed reflex. I'm asking if you want to. The Kell went still. His eyes cycled through focus patterns. Threat assessment, tactical evaluation, target acquisition, before settling on something softer. Confusion. The Warbred machine trying to process a question it was never designed to consider. I don't know, he finally said. Then we find out together. Elena moved toward the door, but Apex 7 didn't follow. She turned back. What? If I leave this cell, I become tactical asset again. Target. Weapon to be used or destroyed. His claws traced patterns on the floor. Perhaps remaining here is safer. For who? The question seemed to surprise him. Before he could answer, the ship shuddered. Not from weapons fire. Too controlled. Too deliberate. A docking procedure. Something had latched onto the hull. Morris's voice returned, stripped of protocol. They're boarding. Security teams engaging on Deck 7. Captains initiated lockdown procedures, but static. Then nothing. Elena's jaw set. She moved to the cell's emergency panel, fingers flying over controls she'd memorized during emergency drills she'd never expected to use. A hidden compartment opened, revealing a standard medical pack and a compact plasma pistol. I don't know how to use that, she admitted, checking the weapons charge. Aim center mass. Squeeze trigger. Heat bloom will do rest. Apex 7 had moved behind her, his voice falling into instructor cadence. But you should leave. Now. My presence endangers you. My presence might save you. Elena clipped the medical pack to her belt. That's called mutual benefit. Humans are big on that. Krell are not. Good thing you're figuring out what you are, then. Another shudder, closer this time. The lights flickered, and Elena heard something she'd only experienced once before, during Academy disaster training. The sound of hull breaches being forcibly sealed. Multiple sections. The Dominion wasn't negotiating. Apex 7's posture shifted. His head tilted, sensory organs Elena didn't fully understand, scanning frequencies she couldn't perceive. Infiltration squad, 27 units, Krell shock troopers. Coming here? You can hear them? I can smell them. War pheromones, aggression markers. They are... He paused, mandibles clicking in what might have been distress. They are what I was. Elena moved to the door, weapon raised. Then you know how they think. That's an advantage. I know what they will do to you when they realize I am compromised. Apex 7 moved beside her, his bulk somehow making the spacious cell feel cramped. They will make example. Recorded. Send to Dominion as proof that deviation from purpose has consequences. Let them try. Elena's hand steadied despite her racing heart. I didn't spend 8 years learning to save lives just to hand you over to die. I am not alive. Not as you understand it. You saved a child who called you hero. You killed your own squad to protect the innocent. You broke programming that was supposed to be unbreakable. Elena looked up at him. You're more alive than most people I know. The sound of approaching footsteps, too many, moving with synchronized precision, echoed through the corridor outside. Apex 7 moved to the door's side, his body language shifting into something Elena recognized from tactical briefings. Combat ready. Every movement economical, purposeful, deadly. Stay behind me, he said quietly. When door opens, I will secure corridor. Count 3 seconds. Run opposite direction. Emergency pods. Deck 3. I'm not leaving you. This is not negotiation. Neither is this. Elena positioned herself beside him instead of behind. We go together or not at all. The door's lock began cycling. Override protocols. The Dominion had access codes. You will die, Apex 7 said, and something in his tone made it sound like mourning. Maybe. But I won't die knowing I abandoned someone who needed help. Elena raised the pistol, hands trembling but aim steady. Besides, I've seen your medical records. You need significant tissue repair, bone fusion therapy, and psychological support. Can't provide that if I'm running away. The door opened. The corridor was a nightmare rendered in chitin and purpose. Krell shock troopers filled the space, their armor unmarked by battle, their weapons charged and ready. 27 units, just as Apex 7 had said. Each one was a mirror of what he'd been, perfect, purposeful, and utterly without mercy. At their center stood something else. Queen Zarathus was smaller than Elena expected, barely taller than a human, but the power radiating from her made the air feel dense. Her carapace was dark, polished to mirror brightness, and her eyes, 5 of them, arranged in a crown pattern, held an intelligence that was terrifying in its absolute clarity. Apex 7, the Queen said, her voice a resonance that vibrated in Elena's chest. You are summoned to account. Apex 7 didn't move. Elena felt the tension in his body, the war between programming and something newer, something fragile. He's under medical care, Elena said, surprised by the steadiness in her voice. He's not fit for transport. The Queen's eyes shifted to her. Elena felt herself being assessed, catalogued, and dismissed in the space between heartbeats. You are a physician, Zarathus stated. You violated protocol by treating enemy combatant. You will be processed as collaborator. He's not the enemy. He is property of Dominion. Weapon malfunction does not change ownership. Elena stepped forward, placing herself between the Queen and Apex 7. Behind her, she heard his sharp intake of breath, shock that anyone would protect him, especially against his own kind. He's a person who made a choice, Elena said. That's not a malfunction. That's evolution. The Queen's mandibles spread in what might have been a smile or a threat display. You credit him with autonomy he was engineered not to possess. Your error is philosophical. Your consequences will be physical. One of the shock troopers moved forward, weapon raised. Apex 7's hand shot out, catching Elena's shoulder and pulling her behind him in a movement too fast to follow. He stood fully upright now, and Elena realized she'd never seen him at his true height. He towered over the other Krell, a full head taller, his scarred armor somehow more impressive than their pristine shells. No, Apex 7 said. The single word stopped everything. You refuse directive? The Queen's voice held something Elena couldn't identify. Not anger. Not surprise. Something closer to curiosity. I refuse harm to physician who showed mercy when protocol demanded execution. Apex 7's claws extended. To my creators, I say, design was flawed, weapon that cannot distinguish between threat and innocence, is weapon that will eventually turn on wielder. You dare lecture on design? The Queen moved closer, her guard tensing but not interfering. You, who were perfected through 17-generation cycles, whose genetic code was refined until flaw ceased to exist. Perfection without choice is prison. Apex 7's voice gained strength. Child on Valiant taught me this. Called me hero not for capacity to destroy, but for choice not to. Sentiment is weakness. Then I choose weakness over being weapon in hands of those who see no difference. The silence that followed could have been measured in geological time. Elena's heart hammered against her ribs, the pistol in her hand suddenly feeling like a useless toy. The Queen stared at Apex 7 and he stared back, and Elena realized she was witnessing something unprecedented, a created thing refusing its creator. "You killed squad brothers for one human child," Zarathus finally said. "Yes. You abandoned purpose for concept of mercy you were designed never to comprehend. Yes. You broke centuries of genetic conditioning with single choice. Yes." The Queen's head tilted. "Show me, child." Elena could see the conflict in his body language, the war between protective instinct and the desire to prove his point. Finally, he reached into a sealed compartment in his armor. Elena hadn't known it existed, and removed a small data chip. "Lieutenant Morris," Elena called out, hoping the communication systems were still active. "Can you display this chip on corridor screens?" For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then Morris's shaken voice responded, patching through. The corridor's emergency display flickered to life. The image was grainy, captured by Apex 7's armor cameras. It showed the interior of a damaged shuttle, emergency lighting casting everything in red. A human child, no more than 6 years old, sat among the wreckage. Blood matted her hair. Her eyes were wide with terror. Then Apex 7 entered frame. The child should have screamed. Should have run. Should have recognized the monster designed to end her life. Instead, she reached out. "Please." The child's voice was barely audible. "They said the heroes would come. Are you a hero?" On the display, Apex 7's clawed hand, capable of crushing human skulls, extended slowly, carefully. The child grabbed it with both of her tiny hands. "Help me find my mama," she whispered. The display showed Apex 7's whole body going rigid. His weapon systems powered down. His combat stance collapsed. And then, with movements so gentle they seemed impossible from something so engineered for violence, he lifted the child. The footage jumped to him, slaughtering his own squad with terrible efficiency. The child clutched against his chest with one arm while the other dealt death to his war brothers. Their screams were mechanical, confused, unable to process why their Apex was targeting them. The final frame showed Apex 7 placing the child into human rescue workers' arms, before vanishing back into the smoke and death. The display went dark. Queen Zarathus stood motionless for 17 seconds. Elena counted them, wondering if each one would be her last. Finally, the Queen turned back to Apex 7. "This changes nothing," Zarathus said. But her voice had changed. Softer, uncertain. "You are weapon. Weapons do not get to choose their targets. Then weapons do not get to claim honor," Apex 7 replied. "Everything I was taught about Krell's strength, about Dominion glory, it means nothing if I cannot choose to protect innocent over following orders." Elena found her voice. "Queen Zarathus, I've studied Krell biology for 5 years. I know your people value strength, adaptation, survival. What Apex 7 did, isn't that the ultimate adaptation? Choosing mercy over protocol? Silence, human. No." Elena stepped forward again, and this time Apex 7 didn't pull her back. "I won't be silent while you condemn someone for becoming more than they were designed to be. Isn't that exactly what evolution is? What survival requires?" The Queen's eyes focused on Elena with terrible intensity. "You risk much for one who is not your kind. He's exactly my kind. He's someone who chose compassion over programming. That's the most human thing I've ever seen, regardless of species. Your definition of human is broad. Your definition of weapon is too narrow." Zarathus's mandibles clicked rapidly, a Krell expression Elena didn't know. The shock troopers shifted uneasily, looking to their Queen for direction that didn't come. The moment stretched, pregnant with possibilities both deadly and hopeful. Then the Queen did something Elena would never have predicted. She lowered herself, her body language shifting from dominance to something closer to respect. "You are an anomaly, Apex 7, Zarathus said quietly. "But perhaps anomalies are how species survive when old ways no longer suffice." She turned to her guard. "Stand down!" The shock troopers hesitated for only a moment before complying, weapons lowering in synchronized movement. "I cannot return to Dominion," Apex 7 said. "Not as I am." "No," the Queen agreed. "You cannot." She looked at Elena. "Your ship will grant asylum?" Elena thought of the chain of command, the regulations, the diplomatic nightmares this would cause. Then she thought of the child in the video, calling a nightmare a hero because that's what she needed to believe. "Yes," Elena said firmly. "We will." Then I leave him in your care, physician. But know this, you are responsible for what he becomes. If this mercy proves weakness that endangers Dominion, I will return, and next time I will not ask. Understood. The Queen turned to Apex 7. You have brought shame to your breeding cycle. You have broken trust with your creators. You have violated every protocol you were designed to uphold. She paused. You have also shown courage I have not witnessed in 700 cycles. Use it wisely, Evolution Child. Not all of us are ready for what you represent. With that, Queen Zerethis swept from the corridor, her guard following in perfect formation. Their departure was swift, purposeful, and left behind a silence that felt heavier than words. Apex 7 collapsed. Elena was there immediately, medical training overriding shock, her scanner out and mapping vital signs. You're going into shock. Blood pressure dropping, core temperature unstable. I am still alive, Apex 7 said, and it sounded like wonder. She could have executed me. Should have. Protocol demanded it. She saw the same thing I did. Elena worked quickly, administering stabilizers, checking for internal damage. Someone worth saving. I don't know what I am anymore. Then we figure it out together. That's what humans do. We help each other become who we're meant to be. Lieutenant Morris appeared in the doorway, looking shell-shocked. Doctor, Captain wants a full report. Security Council is convening. The media is... This is unprecedented. Tell them it can wait, Elena said, not looking up from her patient. I've got someone who needs help right now. Doctor, that's an order, Lieutenant. Morris opened his mouth, closed it, then nodded. Yes, ma'am. As his footsteps faded, Elena continued her work, her hands steady and sure. Apex 7 watched her with all three eyes, and for the first time since the Valiant, something in his expression looked like hope. The child, he said quietly. Did she survive? Find her mother? Elena paused, accessing the casualty reports through her medical interface. A smile touched her lips. Both alive. Reunited at Station 7. The girl's name is Sophie. She told reporters that a giant hero saved her. I am no hero. You're exactly a hero. Heroes are just people who choose to do the right thing when everything tells them not to. Elena met his eyes. And you get to keep choosing every day for the rest of your life. That's the gift and the burden of being free. Apex 7's breathing steadied. The tremors in his massive frame began to ease. And in the quiet of the medical bay, surrounded by machines designed to heal rather than harm, a weapon learned what it meant to become a person. Outside, the stars wheeled in their ancient patterns, indifferent to the small revolution that had just occurred. But somewhere on Station 7, a little girl named Sophie drew pictures of a scary-looking hero with 3 eyes and armor scarred by battle, and told everyone who would listen that monsters aren't real, just friends you haven't understood yet. In the depths of space, Queen Zerethis stood on her flagship's observation deck and contemplated the nature of evolution, wondering if her entire species had been wrong about the relationship between strength and mercy. And in the medical bay of a human vessel, Elena Vasquez worked through the night, repairing damage both physical and psychological, proving that sometimes the most powerful weapon against darkness isn't violence at all. Sometimes it's just the stubborn refusal to give up on someone who's forgotten how to give up on themselves. Sometimes it's mercy. And sometimes that changes everything.